Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I especially want to thank our witnesses for being here as well. Commissioner, I want to thank you especially for visiting our districts, et cetera, and the care and concern that I know you have as leader of this great institution. Let me say that I share some of the concerns that have been put forward by the chairman, but I want to put it in perspective. Let's start with this year's budget, which is flat funded, and then add on top of that the proposal by our colleagues to cut that by 30%. When there's 10,000 baby boomers a day who become eligible for Social Security, when there's close to 70 million Americans who receive Social Security payments, this is not the time to be cutting. The thing that I hear most in my district from individuals when I call and go home is that they can't get in touch with a human being or a voice on the other side that can answer a question for them. And the reason they can't is because the agency has been cut and understaffed, something that people in Congress seem to be oblivious to. When we add that to the fact that Congress, whose responsibility it is to fund Social Security, hasn't enhanced the program in 52 years. 52 years. Has anything happened with inflation or in the economy in 52 years that would require the United States Congress to actually look at the benefits that people receive and adjust them? Nobody gets wealthy on Social Security. On average, $18,000 per male, $14,000 per female. And in the United States of America, with our vast budget, 5 million of our fellow Americans get below poverty level checks. Is there any conversation about adjusting them? No. And they need to be brought up so that they're able to survive and subsist, because more than 40% of all Social Security recipients, the only thing they have to rely on is Social Security. Morality demands that this committee and the Congress act, especially in these times. In this time of the aftermath of the epidemic that took over this country and globally, people are still recovering from that. And who was hurt by that the most? People over the age of 65. And in a time of global inflation, who's the group that's hit by the hardest by that? People on fixed income. Those are people on Social Security. And so here we have our fellow Americans that are in the greatest need, and Congress. It's great that we're looking and we hope to get answers in terms of making Social Security and every governmental agency more efficient. But we could start by having them with the appropriate personnel to make sure they're answering the questions. And even more startling and beyond that is we could actually give our fellow citizens and constituents. I have a card for everybody on this committee and everybody in Congress that details in your district how many recipients you have, what they receive, how much money comes into your district on a monthly basis for Social Security recipients. It's why Republicans are not embracing a 23 million Americans receiving a tax cut and raising 5 million people out of poverty, and then that money going right back into their communities that they represent. If you can point to me any better economic development plan in the country, I'd be glad to take a look at it, but there isn't. And this goes to the people that need it the most. And where do they spend that money? Right back in their community. And until we address and face up to these glaring inequities, this may be great conversation, but it's not going to fix what's wrong with Social Security. What's wrong with Social Security is Congress inaction, not doing anything. If 40 years ago, in 1983, they took a look at solvency and said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to raise the age. And what they found out in the process is that for every year you raise the age, it's a 7% cut in benefits. And my friends and colleagues on the other side are proposing raising the age to 70, which would be a 21% across the board cut, going along with the inaction by Congress that in 2033 would mean a 20% cut. That's a 43% cut to people on average who are getting $18,000 a year if you're a male, $14,000. It's long overdue for Congress to step up and take action.